kind of what I expected it. Let's see it again. So you're 96 degrees. Okay. So you need 6 degrees of negative correction. No, 6. Negative 6. Negative 6. There you go. So negative correction is making it bend deeper. Positive correction will make it bend less.
It's looking better. Right there.
That'll work.
Close enough.
So every press brake, it don't matter if you got, you know, one like this from me or a $400,000 best in the world Amada, they all operate on the same principle. You have a target angle, you make a bend, you apply correction. You know, sometimes once you get very familiar with the machine, you kind of know what it wants for correction and things. You can nail it on the first try. The controllers have algorithms in them to determine, you know, how much down distance is required based on thickness of the material, width of the material, tooling being used, and you know, those algorithms are these controllers are made in Europe. Obviously, these are global machines, global devices. So the spring back rate, material composition, you know, from geography to geography is different. Ambient temperature can affect it. There's all these variables. So, you know, in general, the manufacturers have them set up to underbend by default. So if you ever get a press brake and it's over bending by default on everything, then you want to set your global reference position and adjust that, you know, figure it out for your controller. But anyway, guys, we are on a 10-foot, 220-ton press brake installation, and we're in near Indianapolis, Indiana, in a town called Shelbyville, maybe 30 miles south. So very, very nice machine. And these guys also got a compressor from me as well for their laser, which they already had the laser for a couple of years. But we're just working through the training, doing some, you know, on-screen programming here. You'll see throughout the video all the parts that they're making, the machines and devices that they make. Very good guys, impressive business operation, 4th generation, you know, a little small manufacturing facility out in the country, turning out some super cool products.
How do we rotate that?
So this is the part they outsource a lot of this, but some of this stuff they're outsourcing, or they do it on the old brake. So we're just getting this part set up to bend on the new brake.
So how do you widen the backstop? Do I keep holding that to...
Yeah, it's up though. So we have it programmed. It's estimating how far the opening needs to be. So it's only up a little bit to just let you slip that out. It's ready for your next bend. So rotate it 180. Are you on the rest? Yep.
Where's your template? I think one of these is backwards.
Yeah, just set it to 3 and all right, then set it back. So this is a 4-axis machine. You saw the back gauge action there, that not only it moves in and out, but it also moves up and down, which is super helpful on certain parts that already have 2 flanges deep, and the third flange in is it needs to be raised up to be able to catch that. Very nice feature. So you'll see in some of the shots, they've got an older manual press brake over there. And for that, they have many templates that they use, like a go, no-go gauge. So you'll see right here on this first attempt at making this part, they held their template up there and got it pretty close. I think we ended up making a couple of small adjustments to it, but that on-screen drawing algorithm, if you have the machine set up right and the tooling, the radiuses and everything entered in there correctly, it's pretty good at figuring out the stretch and all the idiosyncrasies of trying to set up a bend. If you've ever worked on a manual brake, you know how difficult it is to actually make a part to dimension, and so this one's got a nice tool set to be able to really help you with that, and by giving you the blank length needed to produce a part to a certain dimension. So this is Steven that you're seeing in the video here, and a little bit later we'll take a look at Jared. He's going to give us a little tour of their facility and show some of the products that they make and how they're going to be using the brake. But Steven's been there for like 10 years. The guy's, you could tell he's well seasoned, and you can see the old Cincinnati there. Steven's been operating that one, so he's got some good fundamental sort of press brake experience. And if you can operate one of those, you can easily pick up on the the programming of a nicer machine like this one. So here in a second, I'll show you their compressor. But when I shipped the brake, we included a compressor in there for their laser. They've had that laser for over a year now. I think it's a little 2 kilowatt 5x10 machine. So we spent a little time on the laser while I was there, dialing in some settings on sheet metal using the compressed air. They've been primarily cutting for the last year all of their materials, including thin sheet metal, with oxygen. Believe it or not, the compressor is actually running and making air right here. You can notice it is so quiet. You know, they really are nice machines. And so we worked on his dryer and got it set to the right dew point. Something probably a lot of guys don't know to check, but super important. And then here's a shot of their 2 kilowatt laser cutting some, I believe this was 1/8" stainless using the compressed air. So we dialed in settings for, I think, 3 or 4 materials while I was there, and kind of, you know, gave him a little crash course on air cutting parameters and tricks to getting him running good on compressed air. So here's a look at a finished product, all fabricated, welded, and you can see all the sheet metal bended, you know, parts that need to be bent. And then here's one in the unfinished state. And so we were working on these panels now, and they had a very sharp return flange on them. And so when Jared ordered this brake from me, we got him a gooseneck punch, and you'll see that's in here now. And so we were mainly wanting to test out the clearance to make sure, in the programming, to make sure we got this super sharp, quick return flange, being able to get it made. We also got him a hemming die set as well. They have several hemmed edges on some of their components. So this brake, when you program it, it tries to estimate the opening height with the thought in mind that it's a high production machine. You don't want it opening up every time. And there's a look at that return flange. It needs a little bit more refinement on the corrections there to get those angles tightened up. But in general, we had plenty of clearance and it worked perfect like it should. But the opening height, you know, is programmable, and the machine tries to get it set up where it's high production, you know, so that it's not opening all the way up every time. You know, just opening a small amount, let you rotate the part to the next bend, and boom, you're back bending again. But sometimes on these longer, wider parts, you really do need it wider open to give you room to work. And of course that feature is you can override what the auto programming tries to estimate for that. But here's a stack of those parts. You can see that return flange on there, and all is going well. Here's a tooling change. We were switching over now to the knife edge punch that goes with the hemming die set to be able to produce an acute bend. And
if you have one small
piece,
you can just use this to slip it in there.
Oh, I got you.
So this will it work for the big ones?
You probably need to slide it in on the end. There you go. Like it's still a little open.
Yeah.
Too far back? Oh yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Trying to set up this acute bend.
So the press brakes I sell come with 86-degree dies to be able to produce a maximum of a 90-degree bend. If you want more acute bending, you need a setup like this. That's a 24-degree punch and a 30-degree V-die to be able to produce those super acute bends, and sometimes you just need them. So I mentioned this is a fourth generation business, and Jared kind of represents the fourth generation in that, and got to meet his mom, Danette, who kind of is the operations manager and pretty much runs the show here for this entire operation. And I also got to meet his grandfather, his mom's dad, and he came around, and he's retired now. He's somewhere around 80 or maybe in his 80s, but he was very interested to see everything, and he's pretty active around the place, and so that was super cool to be able to meet three generations there. And but let's listen to Jared. He's going to kind of talk us through a lot of the setup on these implements that they make.
These smaller boxes on here, and you can see this one's set up. A box is going to go here, and a box is going to go here.
I got you. Yep.
Here's one that's done. This is a 5-footer. Yeah. Here's a little 5-footer. And remember, I was telling you that the same meter runs all those different varieties. So remember, I was telling you alfalfa all the way down to your wheat, your turnips, and it tells you your setting. So if you need your seed drop to be 3/16,
That's the rate. I got you. Okay.
you just adjust this wing nut right here. And this is your adjustment.
So that's just sliding
And
it
that's
open
opening your meters down here on the bottom, depending on how much seed you need
to
left.
control the flow.
Yep. And then the good thing is, this is a landscapers. We have a plotter. It hits the pan, so the seed drops down. This is the pan that we were just bending.
Yep.
Hits here, and then it broadcasts out this, and it gives you that broadcast. And then this comes in behind it and packs it all down into the ground.
Are those cast of some kind?
Castings, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Sand castings.
Gotcha.
Yep. So then they build it here. There's a plasma.
Oh yeah.
So here's that part I was telling you about that I cut.
Yep.
Not bad.
Yeah, that'll work for
I mean, for what we did.
for low volume stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I run like 30 or 40 of them at a time. There's the guards that I was talking about, the expanded and flat. This is more like mid-storage, like we've got parts of things that we're building, and this used to be cardboard to the ceiling.
Really?
Yeah, but now we've scaled that all down and we just get what we need. And then
What about your castings? You import those or imported? Yeah.
those are all imported. Takes a long time to get here.
Yep.
They always make us buy more, and they always charge us more every time. So then here is what we're trying to eliminate. We have to order all these boxes because we can't make them ourselves.
I got you.
So if we can stack up our own boxes, get them powder coated, send out 10, 15 at a time instead of having to buy all these. But I would say our most popular is plotters. And this is because it's versatile. It can do two different things. It can broadcast and it can drill it straight into the ground. So the difference is, you see these tubes? That bend that I was telling you about in the tube?
Yeah.
So it goes through the meter, goes down here, drops it straight in the ground. So this is cutting. You're cutting at an angle. The seed's dropping into the furrow. And then that cultipacker is closing it back up all in one pass.
Nice.
So once you do that, and then the good thing, if you want to go like how I just showed you on that one, it broadcast it. You take these, it's got, you switch these tubes.
I got you.
Now you're using your broadcast pan instead of drilling it straight into the ground, because you're not going to broadcast like corn and beans and things like that. But if you want to switch it, this machine does both.
So you're like your alfalfa or something that gets broadcast?
Yep.
It just goes up out on
Out
top
on,
of it.
like, yep, so like a solid stand, kind of like you would your grass seeds and things like that. Like you're out there cranking it with a crank spreader.
So what's the general price on one about that size?
6,800.
6,800.
Yeah, I mean, just depends on what attachments you get. But they go all the way up to 30,000. I would say the cheapest one to get your foot in the door is probably 6,800. But they're all different versions. There's Haymaster, Plotter's Choice, Seed and Pack, Value Drill. The Varimax that's back there, you can actually change how aggressive your discs are in the middle. So there's a handle and it changes the angle of the disc. This is the original. And then
I had a little camera malfunction right here. It kind of went into slow-mo mode or something, but I sped it up, and basically I was just kind of showing you around the Casco facility and all the buildings that they have from the outside.
then we form them. It has all the different stuff on it that we need, the
Dimensions and
starting
everything.
point. The actual booth where he sprays all of it. So, like you can see, there's a couple things in the booth right now, but it's super old. You know, I mean, this is something I would love to upgrade one day, but it gets what we need done. You know what I mean? Obviously, if we cleaned the floor, it would be even better. But a lot of the stuff that we spray it all, but these are all laser cut parts.
Cut and bent. Mm-hmm.
Yep, cut and bent. That's an idler
Welded.
tensional pulley. But yeah, I mean, we make brace time, and I get 4 full hoppers out of a sheet. So I run 60 of these at a time. And this is that little hopper I was talking about.
What about the seam? How's that work?
Right over here. So here's a whole bunch of them in progress. So they're flat, then we roll the curve, and then as you can see, it goes from that machine to there. Then it's got the seam. It basically just works your way around. Here's your seam.
Huh.
And
So
then-
is this part of the equipment that you got?
Yep.
Okay.
And then once you do that, you gotta put two different things on it. You gotta put this in here. You gotta put this in here. And then you gotta put this crimp on the top. And that's what these machines do.
Niagara.
See
Gotcha.
right here. Right here. And then those are the same thing.
And that's just for strength, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's for strength, and I mean, it's super sharp on the top. You know, when you so that
Rolls
pretty
it
much
over. I
rolls
got you.
it
It's got
over.
a seam. I got you.
But yeah, and these things you can leave it outside. I mean, I hear stories. People say we found one in the barn, we dusted it all off. I just need to get a couple parts.
All right, well, that video that you saw was from Memorial Day, just earlier this week, and as it turned out, I scheduled the trip and got sick and had to delay it for a week. And when I rescheduled it, I scheduled it for Memorial Day. Didn't realize it. I checked with them, and they're like, "Yeah, that works out good. We'll be here anyway, and won't be so busy." So it worked out good. So here's the next day back in Texas, and this is Matt backing in here with the gooseneck with some. And I'm not sure if I have shown the outside of the shop, but you can get a good look at it here. Well, it's gotten so busy that, between new stuff coming in and things shipping out, it's really a busy time and a full-time job. And Matt, you can see him on the forklift there, is helping me on a lot of this stuff. So this is an 8-foot CNC servo brake getting loaded up and shipping out down to Florida. Yeah, I just thought I'd give you a little look around and an update. Not a lot has changed since I've, shown the last video. I did get more G-Force machines in, and I'm excited to get this one set up and going here. This is the bevel head 5-axis machine, and you can see the massive structure there for the 5-axis movement. The old Hoster forklift, we're using it a lot. She's leaking some hydraulic fluid, but what forklift like this isn't? I'll show you in a second on the other one that we're working on. So we got the one steer cylinder on this side that's leaking, and then the main lift cylinder is also leaking.
So we're gonna get to that, but we've had a couple of minor issues with it. The wiring on this thing is, it's janky. You can see right here a little remnants of it. We had to strip some wiring off of it, and we bypassed the neutral safety switch. It was acting up and just didn't even take the time to look it up and order one. We just bypassed it. So this thing sort of being hydrostatic, or I'm not sure what they call it. When it cranks up, it's kind of in neutral anyway. It doesn't like lurch or take off on you. It just kind of sits there until you put your foot on the gas, and then it'll take off. So anyway, you can see we got plenty of press brakes in stock now. This was kind of my goal. You know, I wanted to get to the point where everything that people are buying from me, I have in stock. I'm not quite there yet. You know, there's still stuff that I sell on a regular basis that I don't have here right now. And the video with Jared there on the 10-foot brake is one of those things. And I do have 10-foot brakes coming and more servo brakes coming. But I got these. These are not selling as fast as I thought they would. I think one or two of these are sold. I think two of them are sold. Guys that are waiting on power or shops or whatever. These are the 4-foot fabricator brakes, 4-foot 45-ton, and then these are the 5-foot 70-ton versions. They look identical to these. These just have the covers on them, and those have the covers shipped separately. You know, speaking of Jared, let me show him. I think he's been creeping and eyeballing on this machine over here. So this machine, 6 kilowatt, 2.5G. Man, I've shown it in a couple videos, and we were missing some parts that came in for it. The autofocus servo drive was not available when this machine was built, so it didn't get installed. So we got to install the servo drive, and we got to finish connecting the power source trigger wires up. And so back in this corner where those two brakes are sitting right there, that one little square used to be my paint booth. So I did all my painting in that one little 18 by 18 section right there. You can see the seam in the concrete. But those two brakes are sold. These two are servo brakes, an 8-foot and a 5-foot. That's all I have left right now on servo brakes. I have 2 more of the 10-footers on the way. And when those get here, I'm gonna make a video, show you guys that. You can see the 48-foot PJ gooseneck backed in here. And Matt hauled those brakes back yesterday. And so we always have to charge up the air ride on it, because it's got a battery connection, you know, in through the wiring going into the truck, but it doesn't charge it. It just kind of maintains it. And so you don't want to take this thing down the road and haul some machines without the battery for the air ride being fully charged. So it's got a trickle charger built into the side of it, and so we threw a good charge on it last night. So we'll just make sure we keep it off, because if you just have it sitting around, you know, until we need it again, right here you can see the pressure's all the way up on it. You know, it kind of leaks down over time, and it'll keep pumping itself back up and run the battery down on it. So anyway, guys, there's a look around. I was going to show you too the red Lindy 11K forklift. You can see we got it apart. I'm on a mission here. I'm going to try to get all these hydraulic leaks fixed on all this stuff. And we had a heck of a time with these. That is the steer cylinder right there. It was leaking a lot. And then these guys right here are the fork positioner cylinders, that one and that one. You can see we got the mast assembly off of it there. And we had some stuck pins and things that were quite a bit of work to get apart. And in fact, I'll show you this. We ended up cutting these link bars right here. You can see that one, where that goes into the steering knuckle. The pin on the other end of it is completely rusted in there, and there's just no way. There's nothing to, I mean, it needs to be in a press, a hydraulic press to get the pin out, and you got no room to drive it or, you know, or anything like that. So that was our only option, was to cut it out of there. And so we're gonna get it, Matt's coming down today, we're gonna get it put back together. You can see right there is where we cut it. And those pins are like, man, you got no chance of getting those out unless you take up the whole, you know, steering assembly out of it. So I'll get under there and weld those back up. And maybe one of these days we'll laser cut some more. They're just a flat, like 3/8 or 1/2 inch thick bracket. You know, won't be a problem to make a new set if we ever get around to needing to do that. But anyway, I do have power back on. So those panels are active, and I'm gonna be trenching on the outside down and conduit underground to get power back into this section of the shop right here. And then that sub panel back there is being fed by temporary power with an above ground conduit just laying on the ground outside. And yeah, let me just walk out there and show you. I don't think I've shown too much of the outside. You guys may be interested in it. Not trying to steal the thunder away from Jared's video, just tagging along a little update here. So you notice the floors, I bought a ride-on floor scrubbing machine, and I want to get the concrete sealed up. The floor scrubbing machine is awesome, works great. I'll show it to you here in a minute. But this guy right here that I bought, I showed it in another video for a couple $100. It's just not cutting it. All it really does is make a big dust storm. And the floor scrubbing machine uses water and soap, and you know, it's got scrubbing bristles and all kinds of stuff. And it's done a fabulous job. You can see, you know, it's you can see the tire marks, but right here is a urethane sealer. So we'll be working on that. Get this thing cleaned up, because the dust is crazy in here. This concrete dust just keeps you know, bubbling up for whatever reason. I know it's a sign of a flawed pour, which it very well could be. I don't know. But I'm not sure if I've shown too much about the outside of the building. But this whole area right here in the front and this side over here is low. And you see I got the main, that's Highway 287 right there. So we got water shedding off of that, and there's nowhere for the water to go. It is like dead flat all the way down through there. So I'm gonna create a low spot about halfway down, and then we're gonna have fall from this area to get to that low spot, and from the back area coming this way. And then we're gonna put a sump pump in and be able to pump it all the way around and out to this other road. There is a ditch that's pretty low over there, but it'll go back around that way. But anyway, so you can see my temporary meter here. This connection right here was on the temporary meter, so I could feed the sub panel going into the living area and the office area of the shop. And I've had it that way for a year. I've not had any 3-phase power. So finally got 3-phase power. You can see we got moved our sub panel off onto this, and then we can get rid of this now. I'm working on getting that done. But I got someone hired to do the trenching and do the sump pump system, and they're gonna dig some trenches to run this conduit underground. And I think that'll be the cleanest way to do it, and you know, without having conduit on the inside or outside running down the side of the wall, which, you know, it's not going to be the end of the world. We are definitely going to have conduit running. You see I got that transformer ready to go out. You know, still selling a few transformers, trickling through. Some of my own customers, you know, that have bought machines from me are buying them. And then, you know, selling a few on eBay. I'd say maybe 2 of them a week or something like that. So anyway, guys, a lot of rambling, long video. Big thanks to Jared, Steven, Danette, and Grandpa up in Indiana. And I have a feeling I might be back there one of these days.